I got smarter this week because I am pre-recording this video on a Saturday so that I have lighting, because come 4 or 5 p.m. it's dark, so I can't record it after work. So we're getting ahead of schedule, which is always good. Of course, I read another Flannery O'Connor short story, The Turkey, I think it's called this time, or is it just Turkey? I'm not sure. Let me double check. No, it is The Turkey. And we also have a bigger stack of books today. I always have more. I actually I went yesterday to get books for book club. Okay, we're doing the Brothers Karamazov next, and I went there, and the bookstore I went to a couple weeks ago didn't have any copies, and this place didn't have any copies either. But I was there, so I bought stuff, of course. Yeah, I'm known to do that, so repeat offender. Anyways, we'll get started with our stack here today. The first one is one that I thought I had, and I ought to have had, but don't have, and that is Jack London's The Call of the Wild, and incidentally it also comes with White Fang. Okay, now I'm quite sure I read these as a kid. Call of the Wild, of course, is the main one. That's where a dog kind of from somehow or another ends up in the Arctic and ends up as a sled dog, and then gets lost and gets adopted by wolves, and it's kind of like a coming of age story, like finding your bravery and things like that. So kind of like a manly story, like for younger boys that are kind of coming of age. And then White Fang is the opposite, where a wolf is tamed into a dog. So not really too sure about that one. Not sure if I read that as a kid, but anyways, it's in a cute little paperback too. Like, I don't know. I like it. It's cool. Next up, we have another cute little paperback, this time by Antoine Saint-Exupéry, right? You know this guy. He wrote The Little Prince, or in French, excuse my accent, Le Petit Prince. Anyways, this one's about, it's called Nightflight. It's about the early days of aviation, and this guy's delivering mail in the Alps, or no, in the Andes. It says it's a tragedy, so I'm assuming that he's going to crash. So the main character sees flying as kind of a way to do some heroic act, and then his superior sees freedom not in, or sorry, salvation not in freedom, but acceptance of duty. So perhaps maybe a bit of a dichotomy between the main character trying to be a hero, and then his superior just trying to fulfill some duty that he feels towards civilization or humanity or whatever. So that looks like it'll be good as well. The text, I'm not sure if that book's for kids. The text is pretty big in it, so maybe it is for kids. I don't know. Should be a quick read. Next up, we've got one of Aldous Huxley's more famous novels, Beyond, of course, Brave New World, and that's Counterpoint. And it's in the Green Penguin Modern Classic, which means it flops pretty good. Anyways, not really too sure what this one's about. I think it's supposed to be funny, so I'm looking forward to reading it, but I will say that there's more pages packed in here than you might initially anticipate, around 430, and the text is like fairly small, so I think this one's probably longer, takes longer to read than you think. But yeah, looking forward to reading this one too. Let's listen to that. Oh yeah, great. This next book's so random. I just saw it at the store and bought it. When I see that it's like a Penguin Classic or whatever, it's not the green one, so it doesn't flop well. But whenever I see a Penguin Classic of any color, I'm tempted. Okay, oh, excuse me. And this one's called Gargantua and Pantag by Rabelais, who I believe is French. Lived in the 15th or early 16th century. He was, I think, a monk, and he was persecuted for writing this book. So interesting. It's about two giants. Of course, that's where the title is derived from. Gargantua and Pantag, the two giants. And I think it's supposed to be like an allegorical story, or like the giants represent like the church or government or something like that, which would make sense why he was persecuted for it, because he's probably making some sort of social commentary that's maybe damning for certain individuals. And again, this one is also quite long. Like, there's over 700 pages, and the text is similar to Point Counterpoint. kind of small text. So that one, also careful before you dive into this one. It might take you a while. You might get lost in it. I guess it's fitting that a giant book is about giants. Next up, we have a famous guy, and that's James Joyce. Now, I already have Finnegan's Wake and Portrait of a Young Artist, and now I got his other two big works, Dubliners and Ulysses. Now, Dubliners is a bit shorter, kind of small, and I'm not sure how I feel about this cover design because the front is the exact same as the back. It even has the title on it and everything, which is kind of confusing. So you might end up, I don't know, opening the book backwards. Actually, that's not possible. But, you know, I don't know why they designed it that way. What is it about? I think it's 15 short stories. Yeah, I'm really not too sure. Didn't really do too much research. Of course, you can't go wrong. I know this guy's famous, and for good reason. So, looking forward to eventually, it's not on the top of my list, but, you know, eventually diving into some James Joyce. I'm always more inspired to read books that are like mentioned in other books that I like. So for example, I love Frankenstein. I read it about 10 months ago. It was really good. And of course, the monster in Frankenstein reads Plutarch's Lives, the Bible, John Milton's Paradise Lost, and what's the last one? Portrait of a Young... Oh no, sorry, I'm totally incorrect. It's Sorrows of Young Werther. I was going to say Portrait of a Young Artist, but no, that probably was not even written at that time. Anyways, scrap that. This last one is Ulysses. Now, it has a beautiful, just plain black giant text cover. I like that. Kind of cool. Again, Penguin Classic. It is the green Penguin Classic, actually. If you look on the spine, it is green. It doesn't flop, though. Very good. It's not as smooth as some of the other ones, and maybe that's because it's thicker, but I'd give this one maybe a 5, 6 out of 10. So it's alright, but anyways, I guess just like you can't judge a book by its cover, you can't judge a book by its flop, because, you know, sometimes if the flop is bad, it could be good, but sometimes it could be slop in the flop. So I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. That I just wanted to make that rhyme. Anyways, do I know what Ulysses is about? Not really. Nope. I probably should. It's common enough that I should know what it's about, but I don't. So, anyways, looking forward to reading it one day. Next up, we have something, again, as a collector of classics, I should have bought this way sooner. Not sure why I didn't. It slipped my mind. And that is Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Or Notre Dame? Notre Dame? A lot of the books, there was a lot of copies of this at the bookstore, and half of them probably were abridged. Now, I'm not sure how you guys feel about abridged books. Maybe you value your time or whatever. I don't. And so I feel cheated if I figure out a book is abridged, and I intentionally look as much as I can to ensure that the book is not abridged. I feel like I'm being cheated, and I'm not doing the original artist not giving them their worth, or they're not doing my due diligence, I guess. Like the original artist wrote the book the way it's supposed to be. Why are you coming back and changing what they did? I don't know. Anyways, that's my opinion on that. Don't really like the Wordsworth Classics cover design that much, but it is what it is. It was fairly cheap. I think I paid, $6. That's probably what it's worth. Anyways, I didn't know about Hunchback of Notre Dame, is that it's a retelling of the Beauty and the Beast fairy tale. Didn't know that, so that's interesting. Oh no, some of the pages are bent in here. That is terrible. Also, one thing I'll point out is that some people dog-ear their books. They fold the cover, or fold the page to mark their place. That is a damnable offense. Straight to jail, okay? No trial, nothing. Just straight to jail. Don't do that. Seriously? If you really need to mark up your book, you can use a pen or a tab or a bookmark. That's really what they're designed for. Anyways. And some people also use thick bookmarks that screw up the spine and like the binding. Just use like a receipt or like something thin. Anyways. Second Victor Hugo is Les Miserables. 2-volume set. Now, the text in here is very small. Like, it's tiny. So I think And it's also between the two volumes. It's almost 1,000 pages. Something that I like too is in the second volume, they start the page numbers at like 400 or whatever. Like it matches the first volume, which is nice. I like that. But yeah, this one would take a long time to read. Like 1,000 pages at that tiny text. Yeah, won't be doing that one for a while, safe to say. 3 more here. We've got Nabokov's Penin. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Anyways, I have been excited to jump into Nabokov. Not sure where I'll start. Maybe Lolita or Pale Fire. I have maybe 4 of his works on the shelf now. This makes 5, I think. This one's about a professor of Russian who's living in America. He's in love with a girl, and he doesn't get along well with the other staff, I think. So, anyways, that should be interesting. This one, the text is much bigger, so this kind of a relief. This one shouldn't take too long to read, but yeah, cool. I like finding Nabokov. I was talking to the owner of one of the bookstores, and he says that recently, like this last summer especially, Russian literature has been going very fast. So I don't know what that indicates about the position of our culture currently, but yeah, not sure. Anyways, maybe a bunch of suits are just getting into reading, and they're just like, they think Russian literature is like deep or something because it's like big. most of the Russian novels are big, like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. So, anyways, next up, again, another one I should have already. Not sure how I don't have it, and that's Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. Now, I always get confused because there's multiple Brontes. I think Charlotte Bronte wrote a few, Emily Bronte, and I think, like, is there one more? I don't even know. Because one of them wrote Jane Eyre, right? I don't remember. I don't have that one either. I should, though. Or did I buy it recently? This is the problem. I have too many books now. I have to go through them all soon so I can get a good handle on what I have. Anyways, the flop on this, again, come on, like 4 out of 10. Not very good. That's because it's the Orange Penguin Classics, not the green one. So maybe that explains it. Don't know too much about this one, other than the author died at like 30, so she missed the 27 club by like a couple years. But yeah, I also know that I've seen online that they're doing an adaptation of this one soon. Another adaptation. I think they've done a few already. And they cast an Indian guy to play Heathcliff. And there's like this controversy because people say that he wouldn't have been, like, he's described in the book as being like swarthy or like dark skinned, but people are arguing that that's just like darker brown hair and not like, I don't even know. I'm not going to pretend to know enough about the historical period to tell, but anyways, kind of a funny controversy there. I'm not sure what they'll make of it, but anyways, last one here. It's an older one, and that is the Book of Margaret Kemp. Now, Margaret Kemp was a early English mystic, and this book is the first recorded autobiography of an English person, which is interesting. Also interesting that it's by a woman, not a man, because people assume that in the olden days, women were kind of bugs that were squished under the heels of men, which I don't think is the case, although obviously their social position, which much more rigid and different than it is nowadays, but perhaps maybe they weren't as oppressed as some of the feminists make them out to be. Anyways, this book was written by dictation. I don't think Margaret Kemp could write or read, but yeah, super interesting record of a historical period, and I'm looking forward to reading this one because I don't really read a lot of biographies, but obviously back then in England everyone was Christian, so it's about her conversion. And about, the back cover mentions some sort of just like regular person things, like getting into arguments with her husband or had trouble with the kids, right? Like, we tend to think of people from so long ago as being so different, but really they had the same struggles as us, they thought the same as us, so kind of a cool little time capsule, I guess. So looking forward to reading that one as well. So that's the stack. Not a bad haul at all. How's that for a rhyme? Anyways, yeah, now I want to talk quickly about the short story I read this morning from O'Connor, and that is The Turkey. So this one, there's a lot of bad auto-fiction out there where people just write based on their own thoughts in their own life. But it's the mark of a good writer, a good author, to be able to write from someone else's perspective and really insert themselves into someone else's shoes and think as they think. And that's what Flannery O'Connor does in this short story. She puts us into the mind of an 11-year-old boy who's living, I think, in the South, where Flannery would have grown up, some undisclosed location in America. And he's off playing by himself, and he finds this turkey, and he can tell it's wounded, and he wants to chase it and catch it to impress his family. Now, we learn through kind of his internal monologue that he has a brother who's maybe 6 years older, who's gone bad as a... shoot, I always forget the characters' names. I remember last week I kept saying the character's name wrong. Now I'm going to be talking about this for the next 5 minutes at least, so let's get clear on the names. Roller is the main character, the 11-year-old boy, and his Hayne, I think, is his older brother's name. So Hayne has gone bad, as Roller says, and that means that he smokes cigarettes and stays out late and curses and doesn't really have any interest in faith or anything like that. And that dichotomy between going bad and like trusting and following God is the main dichotomy that's playing back and forth in the mind of this 11-year-old Roller. And so he's chasing this turkey, and it always just seems to get away from him just at the last moment. And he really wants to catch it because he wants to impress his family. And that's reiterated over and over. Now, eventually, he runs into a tree and knocks himself out. And he's like, shoot, I didn't catch the turkey. And because this turkey, this symbol of goodness and being able to please his family, has like escaped from him temporarily, he starts to go bad like his brother, and his thoughts kind of spiral into this repetition of just cussing over and over. So he keeps saying like taking the Lord's name in vain and saying like damn and hell, and he's just like repeating it over and over in his mind because that's just his expression of his freedom, and he's trying to figure out who he is and what he stands for, and he has this bad role model of his older brother. Maybe he should do that, or his grandma is very pious, maybe he should be like his grandma. And so he lost this turkey, the symbol of being able to please his family, so he's just cussing over and over. And then he gets up after, and he's like all woozy, he's got like a bruise on his head, and the turkey is just around the corner, dead from exhaustion. And so he recovers this symbol of being able to please his family, and he puts away all the cussing. He's like, oh, well, I should not do that. He takes the turkey, slings it over his shoulder, and he starts to have this discussion with God, like a prayer. And he's like, well, thank you, God, so much. Like, I owe you everything. You've given this turkey to me. Obviously, it was part of your plan. I promise not to be bad like my brother. Like, and he walks into town. He goes the long way so he can show off his turkey. And, everyone's kind of like, oh, like, Roller, like, nice, catch me a turkey next time. Like, that's awesome. And, he's feeling good about himself. And he's kind of affirmed in his goodness, right? And then on the way home, a couple of boys ask to see the turkey, and they take it, and they just walk away with it. And he's younger than him and is powerless to steal it, and he's kind of just frozen there on the spot, like, doesn't know what to do. And then he runs home in the dark, scared. And that's the end of the story. And again, every time I read a short story by O'Connor, it's so awesome. I love it so much. She's quickly becoming my favorite author, which I am hesitant to say because I need to read everything in my library before I can make claims like that. But yeah, very good. The symbolism in this one was maybe a bit more overt. Of course, the turkey being the symbol, as I've mentioned, of the boy's acceptance and good behavior and being in right relationship with God. And then when he loses it at the end of the story, he becomes scared and runs home. And it's kind of ambiguous whether or not he will continue to be good or he will go bad like his brother. Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing a few things in there, but that's the gist of it. And so, yeah, it really just, like I said, the main feature of that story that I liked is that it puts you into the mind of this young boy and the way he's thinking and how important that small thing of the turkey was to him in his life trajectory, right? Like those boys stealing that turkey at the end of the story, that might have been like the trigger in his life, like the pivotal moment where he decides to go bad like his brother, because even the things that he does, he tries to be good, but they're just taken away from him. And I guess maybe it's a statement as well about fate and how it's difficult for men to, or not men specifically, but when I say men, I mean humans, to remain being good and remain following God, even when life and the world is cruel to us. And things happen out of our control, but we still ought to be good, even if we can't hold on to the things that make it easy. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, really good short story. I hope this video is better than the last one. The last one was very low quality with the iPhone and everything. So yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. See you next week.